All right. I think that we should be live again. So I had to switch over to StreamYard due to my internet issues today. I don't normally use StreamYard for stream, so hopefully everything goes fine. Obviously, you won't have access to any of my animations and whatnot. Those are local on my computer. Not anything I can do about that. But hey, at least we have a backup, right? At least we have the backup of streaming from StreamYard. So today we're going to be talking about Mubahala, Allah's magical curses. And you may have seen that there is an epidemic of people wanting to do Mubahala going around these days. We got Mohammed Hijab being challenged, declining the challenge, and then issuing a different challenge. We got Ali Dawah saying how it's for only if you want to talk to Christians, apparently, even though he previously said the exact opposite when he tried to do it against apostate prophet, and then he tried to accept, and he's like, "You fool! It's only for Muslim dialogue." And we're going to be looking at the so-called prophet of Islam, the original Muhammad, and his Mubahala adventures. We're going to be seeing how this magical curse provides some strong evidence for the falsity of Islam. So welcome to the stream, Mary.
Oh, I'm glad to be back again. Look at that.
And look at this. I need to take off the bottom scrolling banner. There we go. Which had nothing to do with me.
Correct. Nothing at all. I was just there. So Thaddeus may be blurry because we're on StreamYard now, and it's StreamYard servers that are handling everything, and his connection's so terrible today that sometimes he might go blurry. My connection is nice now that I've convinced my local Wi-Fi that I do not have bad weather in my office periodically. So I haven't had a problem since I did the mesh network.
As obviously you won't be able to use any of the animations. I mean, I can still pull comments up, right? I can still pull comments up, but you won't get like the donation thingies, the donation videos and whatnot. My internet was fine earlier today. Tried to go live and it is having some serious issues. And it definitely just seems to be the internet. Definitely doesn't seem to be anything in the setup. As Mary pointed out, even right here on StreamYard, my connection is kind of questionable. And now it's just me going only to StreamYard and everything else comes from StreamYard to you guys. So we'll deal. All right. What are we talking about, Mary?
So we are talking about mubahalas, and I don't know whether or not you want to play any of the video clips of the guy on Behind Veils challenging someone to a mubahala and articulating it in English, or anyone, or Ali Dawah threatening mubahala, or Mohammed Hijab carefully avoiding actually articulating a mubahala correctly, or any of the rest. Or if we want to go straight into the Islamic basis for doing a mubahala, because it seems rather transparently pagan in practice. Like, you just look at this thing, curse me if I'm wrong, curse you if you are wrong. Like, that seems awfully heathen. That seems very, very pagan. Why is this in Islam? Well, of course it was a pagan thing, but it was a pagan thing that Muhammad did. Therefore, it exists in Islam. Mm-hmm. And the word mubahala really means, it just means curse. The act of cursing, it's a noun form from the verb. So it depends on what you want to do with it.
Yep. All right. So I did have a new clip for the soundboard. Let's at least play that.
Let's do mubahala, bro. Let's do a mubahala. Let's do mubahala, bro.
So we got Mohammed Hijab challenges.
Yeah, and Daughter of Christ pointed out that he, in that second one, mubahala, you don't do that in Arabic. Like, that's not an Arabic way of speaking. So, he's trying to be all, oh, me brave, me strong, and at the same time, me very smart, me speak Arabic. And he's like, mubahala. Like that's a very, in English, whenever we get really angry, we pronounce all of our consonants very, very hard. And we spit out the consonants and really, but you don't do that in Arabic. So he's putting English inflections on his Arabic, which, you know, he moved whenever he was pretty young, if he was born in Egypt in the first place. So his Arabic is not that of a native speaker. His patterns are not that of a native speaker.
And I thought I had downloaded the Behind Veils, but I guess I did not. So let's just go to Ali Dawah here.
This guy as a god.
Go straight to the end here where he talks about Mubahala.
Thing that I was going to miss, the Mubahala. Just to touch upon that, inshallah.
Hey, perfect.
Brothers and
Yes.
sisters, we've got a woman, which I've given you a track record of the very bizarre things she's saying, and there seems
Mary,
to
your
be
keyboard's very loud.
a psychological issue. It has to be. Is asking Mohammed Hijab, a 6'6" guy, to come and do Mubahala with her. Now, when you do Mubahala, this is something that is directed to the Christians in the Quran. So she's
Now, do note that a lian is very much like a mubahala. Lian is whenever you, so if you are saying in a marriage, I love that screenshot so much. Whenever you say that you, because you have to have 4 witnesses for adultery, right? So if you come home and you see your wife in bed fornicating with a man, you can't actually get her on adultery because you're only one witness, right? Doesn't even matter what you see. You don't have that power. So what you do is you officially curse her if she denies it. You can just divorce her if she just keeps her mouth shut or whatever. And then if you want to bring charges against her, you can officially give her this curse. And then if she wants to deny it, she can curse you back and say that that's not true. And that's a lian. And that actually, in one of the ahadith, this event of Mubahala is called a lian rather than Mubahala. So it's not always called necessarily precisely the same thing. But the lian is explicitly for husbands and wives cursing each other about their supposed misgivings and misdoings and things. So, yeah, this idea, we don't curse each other if we're Muslims. No, you absolutely do. It's written into Sharia law. You have to curse each other. That's how you get rid of a wife who claims she's innocent without paying her mahr if she's not willing to curse you back. So, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, let's see what else he has to say here. Maybe. Okay.
that matter, brothers and sisters. All I'm going to say is inshallah. And one thing that I was going to miss, the Mubahala. Just to touch upon that, inshallah. Brothers and sisters.
As you can see, my internet sucks.
Yep.
We can't even
So,
play the dang
can't play
video.
that.
I
That's
thought it
fine.
would I thought it would upload it to their servers, but apparently
play from there.
it's really
But
just streaming it. It doesn't really upload it. It just streams it directly from your computer.
Well, we can go to mine instead. They're
We've
making
got
excuse.
a woman, which I've given you a track record of, the very bizarre
Hold on.
things she's
There you
saying, and there seems to be a psychological issue. It has to be. Is asking Mohammed Hijab, a 6'6" guy, to come and do Mubahala with her. Now, when you do Mubahala, this is something that is directed to the Christians in the Quran. So she's asking that Mohammed Hijab and his family and kids, that she wants their cells to be cancered or whatever, and she comes there with her daughter. I've seen a little daughter, and she wants Hijab to invoke a curse on a single mother, yes, and a 6 or 7 year old girl. I mean, I don't know what to say to this. You want us to come forward and curse another Muslim, a single mother with her daughter, on what camera? Should we do it on camera at some After Effects? Or
All
I
right.
don't understand.
So
It's very, very bizarre.
So let's talk about whether or not Muhammad is his example or not. He thinks it's bizarre and terrible. It's awful to curse a small child. What kind of person would do that? Well, Muhammad did.
Mm-hmm.
Muhammad cursed a pregnant woman and two small little boys. He called down curses of his god, of his cave demon god, on two small children and a pregnant woman. And before the year was out, 3 of them were dead. So he called down curses. 3 of the 6 died. 50% dead, ended, slaughtered. Muhammad was fine with that. Why is this a problem? And what is his? Oh, he's 6'6", so Allah is too weak to curse him. Why do you even think of having the 6'6" person in the curse? He will go, ha ha, Allah,
Yeah, I don't know why he threw that in there.
I'm like, ah,
He's too big and strong. Allah can't touch him, so the curse is pointless.
right?
But they're weak. There's a weak woman and a weak girl. Allah will destroy them.
And I want to point out that to curse his family would be the example of whom? Of Muhammad. Muhammad wanted to curse all the children of his opponents and curse his own children if he was a liar. So this cursing of children is Muhammad's pattern. So her saying, I believe that he's a liar, so Allah should give his children cancer, that is what Muhammad taught. Now, the whole thing should be set up in an official Mubahala, and you can't tell Allah how to kill people, but Allah should definitely kill all of Mohammed Hijab's kids if Mohammed Hijab is a liar. That's what should happen. They should just be slaughtered, cut down, because that's what Muhammad's example is, as we will discover going through.
Let's get the last words from him here.
So that's why we do not take this claim very seriously, because a woman who said things like that, I will not take anything she says seriously from this moment onward. That's all we need.
So we know that she's not serious. We know that we would win the curse. So this is why we refuse to do it.
Yeah. We refuse to do it because it would curse her daughter.
Very strange stuff here. And I did get the other video downloaded.
And notice that this is like the most perfect example of Solomon splitting the baby. Right? Because they're like, oh, no, we won't do that because it would hurt her child or whatever. And she's like, no, I'll do it because my child will be safe. She knows her child will be safe. That's why she is willing to do it. They are unwilling to do it because they think that their demon god will kill Mohammed Hijab and his kids, or at least, I don't know that Mohammed Hijab actually believes in Islam at all, but they will at least embarrass him mightily in front of the people who know that he's lying, because that's the one kind of lie that you're not supposed to do. You can lie through your teeth all the time, but in Mubahala, you can't, you're not supposed to lie. And other people will call him out who are witnesses to his lie if he is a lie.
All right, let's go ahead and get the other video.
Bismillah wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Allahumma ajunni fi musibati wa akhluf li khayran minha. Today I will take a mubahala, but before I do, there are a few things I need to share. This morning at 4:30 a.m. I received a message from Ali Dawah of a video he will be releasing with respect to Dunya Shoaib, titled Beaten, Abused, and Suicide.
Ali Dawah has posted that video, and all the comments, basically, I mean, there's probably some, but all the top comments are Muslims saying, this is disgusting. Why did you post this video? You just look like a massive hypocrite. This has backfired on you. So Ali Dawah has posted a comment saying, I know everyone in the comment section is a Christian. Yeah, right. I mean, he has 1.3 million Muslim subscribers, but somehow the Christians have overwhelmed his channel, and they're all leaving fake comments about how this is not Islamic and it's inappropriate behavior and blah, 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 blah.
So he's just calling them all Christians. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like, almost all of you are Christians, I know. But for those few Muslims who are criticizing me, know that what I'm doing is right by Allah.
So, yeah. And by the way, Phil brought up the fact that Muhammad himself cursed a young slave girl and who hadn't even done anything wrong. She just irritated him. And so she cursed her, saying that may you not advance in years. Like, I hope you die before you get older. And this brought in the new Islamic blessing from Allah that whenever Muhammad curses people out of evil and spite, out of sin, that instead it becomes blessings for them. There's an entire series of ahadith concerning this event where, like, a girl just disturbed him. She was sent to him and she did what she was sent to do. And he just cursed her because he was irritated to be interrupted and wished death on her. And remember, this is supposed to be their prophet. So imagine how much authority she thought this had. And she goes back to her mistress, one of his wives, weeping. I think it was one of his wives. I forget who it was. It might not have been one of his wives, but anyway, it was her mistress, her female owner, saying that, Muhammad's just cursed me. And she's like, what the heck, Muhammad? Why are you cursing this girl to die? He's like, oh, Allah made me do it. Allah made me curse this girl out of irrational hatred and anger so that Allah could unlock the blessings upon you of receiving abuse from me when you don't deserve it, which turned into blessings for you. So from then on, anytime that Muhammad mistreated someone, they were just like, oh, look, I got blessings from the demon god. Like, seriously, can you imagine? But once people are sucked into these belief systems, they can't think clearly.
Mm-hmm. And do have a super chat from Songs of Relief. Who ate the apple? You ate the apple. Anyway, I find it very interesting that Mojab doesn't want to Mubahala. Does that imply he does actually believe in the wacky religion? He's afraid, right? Yeah, it is interesting, right? Because Sheikh Uthman, right, when he was challenged with a similar situation, somewhat similar in that they both are accused of sexual abuse. And he's just like, whatever, bro. Gets up there. And of course, he says all the Arabic words wrong, so it doesn't technically count. But I don't think he did that on purpose. I think he's just incompetent. I think Uthman definitely doesn't believe in Islam in any way. But here, Mohammed Hijab making up incredibly lame excuses through Ali Dawah of, Hijab's too big and strong for this challenge, and the opponent's too weak, so he can't do it.
Well, here's the thing. Were there the witnesses of what Uthman has done?
No.
No. They're not the witnesses to call out Uthman. Plus, Uthman, I'm sure, declared her marriage dissolved, right? Mm-hmm. So now he can bang her because he has granted her khula. So now he can take her, and he declares he has the authority to do it. So he has this loophole where he could, Uthman take your wife. He can just steal anybody's wife he wants by going, I'm a great sheikh. I declare this marriage invalid, and then bang her, right? And so he has that loophole. But Mohammed Hijab has witnesses, and a sheikh is one of them. So I think it's more the fact of the face that he will lose from the witnesses who are going to most likely be called to testify in front of the Islamic Council of Europe and stuff. And it will be found that the circumstances were highly shady, where he set this girl up to, she was not at all girl age, just gullible like a girl only, unfortunately. But that this woman would, that she would have said the truth, that she did not expect this kind of marriage.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't see us
so White
buffering.
Says it's still buffering. That could be your end. If not,
yeah, that one might actually be your end,
because it couldn't possibly be me.
Yeah,
but it might be you. Maybe there's just internet issues going around today. Who knows? All right, let's get some more of this video.
Why did he send this to me in advance? Because like the messages that were sent to me previously by both Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawah, they are veiled threats. They are an effort to silence me, and by Allah, I will not be silenced. For the course of the past 5 years, I have been subject to slander and false accusations that have been spread far and wide. It took a toll on myself, my health, my friendships, my community, and my family. It is for this very reason that 2 years back I went public in an effort to defend my name and my honor for the sake of my children, for the sake of my family, as a son, a brother, a husband, and now as a father of 3 girls. Just 2 years back, I was swatted with a group of police breaking through my front door while I was asleep, all in an effort to have me killed and silenced. This is when I truly realized I could not stay quiet. When I desperately sought help, pleading with religious leaders, their silence and refusal to help was a shock beyond
Trinity Matrix says Thaddeus fell in love as well. Sorry, Thaddeus. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. I mean, it's some sort of joke.
imagination. It opened my eyes to a systemized cover-up machine built to insulate and protect religious leaders from justice and accountability, all while suppressing dissent. O Allah, your final prophet and our beloved Muhammad, the son of Abdullah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, stated, years of treachery will come over people in which liars are believed and the truthful are denied. The deceitful are trusted and the trustworthy are considered traitors. And the disgraceful will deliver speeches. It was said, who are the disgraceful? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, petty men with authority over the common people. I swear by the one in whose hands is my soul, the allegations that have been cast forth through Ali as a proxy for Dunya Shuaib with regards to my marriage are a complete and malicious set of lies.
So Metathrona said, I get that the idea of Mubahala means a lot to Muslims, but come on, a curse contest? Yeah, it does seem kind of silly, doesn't it? Right? But you have to understand that this comes from the pagan environment of Arabia, right? Where you have competing gods with, different followers, and the followers of one god would be like, hey, my god's superior, and I can prove it, right? So that's kind of where it comes from. And, Muhammad comes from that environment, and he adapts that and says, oh, Allah is the one who is doing all the curses, and we can use this for purposes of lying.
Yeah, and Watcher Time says Hijab won't say Mubahala because deep down even he knows Allah might finally check his skull history. That's pretty funny.
Nice.
But
he kind of went through some of the history that he's been through there, that he kind of found this channel because of all the abuse he took from his ex-wife and authority figures trying to support her and such. And he's like, I realize that this isn't just about me. This is a systematic problem within our religion, that you get famous enough and then you have an unlimited license to do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm. And I also want to point out that Muhammad himself taught that the evil eye was real, and that you can put curses on people by doing knots. Like the Quran itself contains a surah which is meant to guard you against the evil eye. So this means all of this is real. All of these pagan beliefs, all of these pagan thoughts are enshrined in Islam. Why? Because he just threw some stuff that he thought was monotheistic on top of paganism and rebranded it as the true religion that everybody believes.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, Muslims, don't come in and insult, guys. If you come in saying horrible things, you're going to end up getting timed out. Just stop saying horrible things.
I mean,
stay on topic.
They're just coming in with the spirit, right? They're just coming in with the spirit of Islam. I'm not going to read the comment, but it's on the screen if you want to see what Muslims do, right? They come into chants.
Yeah.
We're trying to have a serious discussion teaching what Islam teaches about Allah's curses, and they just start.
Yep. And of course, keep in mind that even at the height of the most egregious of the scandal in the Catholic Church, you were safer with your priests than you were with school teachers.
Mm-hmm.
School teachers were like twice as dangerous.
Mm-hmm. And definitely can't say the same thing about imams anywhere in the world.
No, you can't.
It's not a abuse, right? So it doesn't ever register to anyone because it's just punishment when a Muslim imam takes the
and
takes
again,
advantage of a child while saying you didn't learn your Quran properly.
Yes, that's very, very common. By the way, your volume might be low, folks are saying, compared to mine. So yeah, that's just standard punishment. Yes, I'm a loud person. Sorry. Standard punishment in the madrasas is very commonly rape of children. And this has come out over and over and over again, but it's only come to, it's only been exposed now. It wasn't like it was a new problem that arose and a new scandal. It just became a scandal recently. Why? Because of greater contact with colonial ideas, Western ideas. So
StreamYard automatically adjusts the audio to be at the same level. So, I mean, I can turn off the automatic adjustment.
I can turn down my mic a little bit. I don't know whether or not that'll actually turn down. Is that turned down? I have no idea. I think it might only turn back down for me.
I think you probably are quieter.
Now you're super quiet. Does that mean? Did I do that?
Maybe.
Oops. All right.
Well, okay, fine. Let me just turn off the adjust mic volume automatically. See if it's louder now. Let me know if it's louder now. Snoopy
Tell me if mine's quieter now.
She's louder.
Well, I just now started speaking, so they wouldn't have heard after you turned it off until just now. All right. Maybe you go closer. I'm a little bit farther away. I'm like 18 inches from my mic now. All right. Oh, and it says that there's no difference anymore.
No difference anymore. Okay. I mean, it has a feature to automatically adjust it to the same level. I turned it off. So it was like intentionally making me quieter because it thought I was quiet or I was loud in comparison to Mary.
That's funny.
Whatever. All right. Whatever. Let's give the video.
Married to Dunya from May of 2019 with our divorce finalizing in March of 2021. Wallahi, uqsam billah, I have never committed zina in our marriage and I never laid a finger on her or physically harmed her in any way, shape or form. There is a reason why she dropped her lawyer and worked with me and my lawyer to process the divorce quietly. There's a reason she messaged me months after our divorce. There's a reason why she met up with me multiple times afterwards, while keeping it a secret from her friends and family. There is a reason why she even entertained the thought of reconciliation. I swear by Allah that Dunya Shoaib has cast a string of lies intentionally in our divorce court hearing and the years that would follow. This included doctored recordings, photoshopped documents, and false testimonies. Dunya Shoaib is a liar, a deceptive and wicked liar. And now there are others who have teamed up with her with the sole purpose of character assassinating me. Where was Adi Dawah?
I want to say, I don't know if this is in fairness, but I don't know a better word to describe it. Just for purposes of accuracy, I don't think that Ali Dawah has actually teamed up with her or that Mohammed Hijab has actually teamed up. I think that they are just throwing a temper tantrum and baselessly repeating accusations that they got from his own channel. Not that they actually have any contact with Dunya and, are actually putting effort into this.
Yeah, I think that they are claimed to have in one place, but I don't think that they have anything that's actually new. It's just the old claims. And this is just his wife. They had a very, very, very ugly divorce that involved her swatting him. So, like, sorry, as soon as I find out that somebody's swatting someone else for literally no reason, like, she just, it is not possible that she swatted him for a legitimate reason. I'm like, yeah, I take the rest of your claims a lot less seriously.
Yeah, so Dunya Schwabe is her family name. I guess that she has, some degree of connection to the Dawah scene or to the Islamic leadership scene, because she apparently got a whole bunch of people to, join together in opposition of our friend Salman here, the face of Behind Veils. And that's the experience that he had. It wasn't just, my ex-wife is crazy person, but rather that it was like the religious community ganging up on him. And that's why he decided to try to stand up to this crap, because he was like, it's not just me, right? It's not just me. Lots of people who are victims can be taken advantage of this by this system. All right, let's continue.
For the past 2 years. Why is it that all of a sudden he has piggybacked on the veiled threats that Mohammed Hijab issued to me 2 months back when I reached out to him? Once again, this is all an effort to deflect and divert attention away from the allegations that were cast against Mohammed Hijab. Soon you will see the deceit behind Dunya, not just with what I have presented on the Behind Veils website, but you will also hear the stories of other sisters and families who were harmed and traumatized by her, sisters who have never spoken up before. You will come to realize why Dunya's own Islamic seminary, Qalam Institute, banned her. You will come to realize why most organizations and masajid no longer invite her. You will come to realize why so many other religious leaders have disconnected themselves and no longer associate with her. In the upcoming weeks, the world will come to find out the corruption, the deceit, and the wickedness behind both Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawah. By Allah, these two have
Well, that's a good enough place to pause it
Well,
anyway.
yep.
So, like I said earlier, he released this video before, or roughly simultaneous with Ali Dawah releasing his video, and it has absolutely backfired on Ali Dawah. His Muslim audience thinks that it was very disgraceful of him to publish the video, because he's just ranting, right? It's like, oh, you made accusations against Mohammed Hijab, so I'm just going to say bad things against you.
Yeah. And then if this will load, the reason that we're playing this is that he actually does give a mubahala at the end.
Yeah.
So
and we're almost to that point.
So hopefully
deceived the world. I ask the public to reserve judgment in this matter until we have fully presented our case, and to not be distracted by character assassination attempts, all in an effort to divert attention. We have brought forth allegations against Mohammed Hijab, and now Ali Dawah, alongside Mohammed Hijab, have countered with relaying allegations against me. These are two entirely distinct and separate cases. As I mentioned recently, do not conflate the two. Do not be derailed. I welcome and will fully cooperate with any organization and group of leaders that would like to investigate my case with Dunya, and call for all findings to be released publicly. I also ask for the same with the case of Mohammed Hijab. I challenge Mohammed Hijab on 2 points. 1, to openly accept a full investigation into his case, and 2, to stop hiding behind AI narrators and to come forward and deny allegations with full clarity and specificity, and to be a man and not back down from the challenge of Mubahala set forth by the sister.
So be a man and get on Zoom, right? Because that's what Hijab says. And his challenge is like, if you were a real man, you'd get on Zoom.
Subhanallah. I have asked for an investigation for many years, whether it was with respect to the lies and deceit of Dunya Schwabe, the lies and deceit by Yasser Birjas, by not just myself, but
Ragnar says Ali Dawah likes to be a cheerleader for his friends no matter what they do. His friend Suber, sorry, I don't really know that name, recently got smoked in a debate with Dave, the
Sabur. Yeah.
professor, and he ran damage control for him. Yeah, I mean, Ali Dawah, right? He doesn't have an original thought in his head. Come on. He's just going to do whatever he's told to do. That's his role in the Dawah gang, is he's the yes man who does whatever the rest of them tell him to do.
3 other brothers by Omar Suleiman and the lies he relayed and remains complicit through his silence, or even with my own masjid, the Valley Ranch Islamic Center, with its board members who tried to cover up and shield both Yasser and Omar.
Oh, we got a new Muslim in the chat here. Clutch Film says this is a reprehensible show and says go read the Bibles. No doubt it
Did, which is why we're here. Yep.
So, Mr. Clutch Films, what exactly is reprehensible about this show? The mere fact that we're telling the truth about Mohammed Hijab, that your idol is a pathetic loser who is scared and hiding under Ali Dawah's skirt because he's too scared to face a tiny woman, in Ali Dawah's words, face to face. That makes us reprehensible, or that makes Mohammed Hijab reprehensible? Do let me know. But do stay so you can learn about Islam, because your leaders will never tell you the truth.
Omar, we truly live in a time of deceit. Do not be fooled by people like Ali Dawah who thrive off the monetization of their channels, making tens of thousands while trying to air drama and sensational content. After all, he has even coined himself as, quote, the king of clickbait. Be wary of all these influencers.
Got a forced pause there, but that is true. I did check that. He did actually call himself the king of clickbait because, well, he clickbaited his audience. And he's like, haha, I'm the king of clickbait.
Or so-called shuyukh who profit heavily from the ummah and yet refuse to provide any transparency. Today, I will publicly deny the allegations relayed by Ali Dawah, something neither Ali Dawah or, more importantly, Mohammed Hijab will do. They will not deny the allegations. They will not take an oath that the marriage between Mohammed Hijab and the sister took place. Because not only will they garner the curse of Allah from the false oaths, but they will lose every ounce of trust and respect from the wakil and the witnesses that were present in the nikah that took place over Zoom. Mark my words. The truth is coming and the world will be in shock.
The truth is coming, and then we got Clutch Film saying you both are pigs. So we're the vile and reprehensible people. He doesn't know the slightest thing about us other than that we're Christians, and he comes in here and says you're both pigs.
Well, anyone who talks about men abusing women are clearly pigs because, you know, Muslim men should be allowed to abuse whatever women they want because women are trash and are merely an upper animal who exist for men to sate their lust.
And then he used his second account to say, I completely agree with you. Just use one account. You don't need to put a second account in there. No one's going to be fooled and think that suddenly the audience agrees with you and you're so insightful because you used a random insult. All right? No one's fooled. No one is fooled. I know that that's how you get fooled all the time by your Dawah boys, but no one here is as dumb as you, okay? It's not going to work, so don't even bother trying.
For those that seek to harm me, know that taking my life will not seize the truth from emerging, as I have securely encrypted and distributed evidences to others and directed them to release it if anything were to happen to me. I seek Allah's protection. May Allah protect us all. Today, I take a danger.
So right after this, he's going to get to the curse, but I want to get this from Newbie first, which is, of course, also is the same person as Mr. Films. Women are given the highest degree of respect in Islam. Really? The same degree of respect as dogs, right? Dogs.
Yep, because dogs interrupt prayer.
Invalidate your prayer.
Yep, because women are equal to dogs. And Aisha points out that makes women equal to dogs. And do you know what? So Aisha was actually saying, Muhammad wouldn't have said that because that would make women equal to dogs. but because there were so many people who said that, no, I heard him say that women invalidate prayers just like dogs. And so what the judges have ruled from that, what the ulama has ruled from that, is that yes, women are equivalent to animals. She is correct. Aisha is correct. That would make women equal to animals. But you shouldn't take away from that Muhammad didn't say that. No, Muhammad did say that women are indeed equal to animals. So I don't know. The highest degree of respect is that of animals, and so low that if Allah made anyone bow to anyone else, it would be women to their husbands, that women should be beaten, that men don't need to love them because the only reason to love them is if they're young and sexy and beautiful. No. Okay, you are in massive timeout.
Yeah, so Clutch Films finally admits why he's so upset, right? He's like, this is stupid. No one wants to listen to this, blah, blah, blah. Well, actually, the problem is that we are shitting on people who preach to guide others into goodness. So in other words, we're attacking all the Dawah, Mohammed Hijab, and this really bothers him because he has zero reason to believe in Islam. The only reason he believes in Islam is because Mohammed Hijab beats his chest really hard, and Clutch Films is so dumb that he finds that impressive. But now he sees that Mohammed Hijab is a disgusting, perverted pig. And he's like, oh, I don't want to follow a disgusting, perverted pig. I know what I'll do. I will ignore that, and I'll go start attacking Christians.
Well, no, he thinks that that's goodness. Mohammed Hijab wants to guide people into a religion where you have sex with small children. But you have some precautions. You have to have sex with chubby small children because that makes it better. So Clutch Films believes that it is all the goodness to have sex with chubby 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 3-year-olds. As long as they're chubby enough, that's goodness to him. He thinks it is goodness to go, man, I'm tired of going home to the same wife every night. She's gotten old. And why should I, a dirty, perverted man, ever have any attraction or love for this ugly woman because she's gotten old? I should have someone else to put my penis into. So I will get a hotel wife as long as the hotel wife agrees to it, hide it from my own wife, have three at once, 3 hotel wives in rotation at once. And that's fine. They're wives. You're just paying them for sex, but they're wives. That's fine, because all Islamic marriage is a financial transaction of selling women's bodies for money. So that's goodness to him. This is the point. This is goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, newbie. The inheritance of women against their will has nothing to do with that. That means that you can't have sex with your stepmothers if they don't want to marry you. That's the best you can come up with. Guess what?
Mary,
Christianity forbids that entirely.
You can't inherit them against their will. What do you inherit, Mary?
Property.
Property.
Women are property.
Newbie, to quote the Quran to destroy us on how valuable women are, is like, women are the most valuable type of property. You see, they give women so many rights in Islam. They're better property than other property. Wow. It's sad that you think that this is a good thing to highlight. Like, this is the most beautiful verse of the Quran, guys. It shows you how valuable women are. Yeah, that they're property. Your women are property. Oh my gosh. How stupid can you be? This is the idea of a great response.
Yeah.
But I did want to put up this from Launcher of Times. Bro, meaning Hijab, beats his chest like King Kong, but cries like Curious George when Mubahala gets mentioned. Seems about right. All right, let's hear the Mubahala for reference, and then we'll get into what a Mubahala is.
Spiritual invocation. I take a mubahala. Mubahala is done when 2 parties are in a serious dispute about the truth, and one or both invoke Allah's curse to expose the liar and let divine judgment settle the matter. O Allah, I place my case and my soul before you today. Ali Dawah has relayed hideous and egregious false accusations and fabricated slander against me. But if I am the one who is lying, then send your curse upon me.
Sorry, internet issues.
Yep. Hopefully it'll come through.
Deprive me of help in this world and intercession in the hereafter. O Allah, judge between us in truth. You are the best of judges. Now the world has heard my plea to our Creator. I have tried with every ounce of my faith to show the truth. But now I let Allah decide these matters. O Allah, for the people of sound hearts and those who truly believe in you, I ask you to open their hearts, and for the truth to be seen as truth, and for falsehood to be seen as falsehood.
All right, that was the end of the video there. So we got him saying, if I am a liar, then may Allah's curses be upon me, right? You don't need the agreement of the other party to take that side, to take your side of it, right? It's supposed to be a battle because you want the other person to be exposed, but if they refuse to do it, you can just say, well, if I'm lying, may Allah curse me. And we'll see if Ali Dawah responds, but I'm guessing he's not going to because his own audience is telling him he is wrong. Right? His best fans are telling him he's very much in the wrong about this issue. Many of them believe hijab and by proxy Ali Dawah on the Aisha issue, but none of them seem to believe him on the Dunya Shwaib issue. Probably because Ali Dawah himself released a video 2 years ago saying that the charges were nonsense. And then he took that down and put up this video where he just whines and cries and complains, which we're not going to watch. But he just whines and cries and says, well, if you said things about my friend Hijab, I'm going to say things about you.
Yeah.
All right, let's get Mary's presentation here. And we should have no more internet issues because it's no longer dependent on me.
There we go. Yep. So we are going to look at the event of the Mubahala in the Islamic history, where Muhammad himself set up the pattern, just like Muhammad himself told people how to avoid the evil eye, therefore confirming that the evil eye exists, and that people can set magic spells on you, and that you say these words to dispel the magic spells and put a spell of protection around yourself. That we also have the event of the Mubahala, which is bringing in this pagan cursing custom into Islam. And it is very important, especially in Shia tradition, but also in Sunni tradition. Both groups lie about, and this is a Shia image, by the way, of Muhammad here bravely cursing his own family, which would be Ali, Fatima, and then Hussein and Hassan are the boys. Apparently, he thinks that girls are worthless, so he didn't even bother to include them. But Fatima is pregnant at this time. So it's important to recognize that in the Shia tradition, he actually did this action and spread out his cloak all across all four of them, and the fifth being the child who Fatima is pregnant with. As he pronounced this curse, the Sunni pretend that he didn't actually do this, but only offered to, and I find this dubious. These were his only grandchildren who were still alive at this time. He had multiple other grandchildren, and they had died of natural or semi-natural causes. One got pecked in the eye by a rooster and it got infected and he died. Another one, we're not sure what that other one died of. And I believed even his granddaughter his other granddaughter wouldn't matter anyway because he only cares about the boys. But he cared about his daughters, but apparently the next generation, he's like, the boys are the ones that matter. Although, there was one granddaughter that he really liked, but it wasn't one of Fatima's. So, and then the Shia lie about this by claiming that it happened in a different year. So the Sunnis pretend that it didn't actually entirely take place. The Shia lie about the year that it took place in. And that's important because so many people involved in this cursing were in fact dead within about 3 months. So the occurrence was supposed to be between the Najrani Christians. There were
real quick,
Mhm.
Mary, I just want to take this from newbie, and then we won't put up with any more of this nonsense. So he says the Hadith, not realizing it's actually a Quran verse, is about women being emotional, and it's true. Science shows how women are more emotional than men. Now, women and men have different compositions, but more emotional is not accurate. They just have different types of emotions. But it's irrelevant because you are declaring that you are the true prophet of Islam and you can interpret the Quran better than Muhammad did because Muhammad said it was about intelligence. He didn't say anything about emotion. When he was talking to a group of women, they're like, "Oh, Muhammad, why did you say that the majority of inhabitants of hell are women?" And he said, "Does the Quran not say that your witness is worth half that of a man?" And they said, "Yes, it does." And he said, "See, this proves that you lack the intelligence of a man," right?
You are stupid.
So
You are stupid. You have partial intelligence. Newbie, are you a stupid woman? Are you stupid? Are you dumber than men? Because this literally says that you lack intelligence. Your intelligence is defective. And there's another hadith that explains that women were cursed by being stupid before they were intelligent, and afterward they were stupid, according to Al-Tabari's history. That's what happened to Eve, and everyone since then, and she made a tree bleed, so she bleeds after that, and that makes her deficient in religion because Allah will not listen to you while you are bleeding. Allah makes you bleed, and he won't listen to your prayers because you are worthless, filthy, and disgusting, and he doesn't want to listen to you. Ew, you're so gross. He's made you so disgusting that he can't stand to listen to your disgusting, despicable, revolting prayers while you bleed, which he made you do. I mean, you cool with that? Apparently you're cool with that.
You got two options here, right? You can either accept that Muhammad's correct and women are intellectually inferior to men, or you can reject Muhammad as the best interpreter of the Quran and say that I know the Quran better than Muhammad. But I'm pretty sure either one of those things takes you, the first one definitely keeps you in Islam. The second one takes you out of the fold of Islam. The first one is morally reprehensible. So you're in a big pickle here, but you got to pick one or the other. You can't just pretend that it's about emotions because Muhammad denied that possibility. He said specifically it's about intelligence. All right, go right ahead.
Sorry, I muted myself. Okay. So this was about a group of Christians who came up and disputed with Muhammad at a particular time. They came from Najran. So where is Najran? What is Najran? It was one particular city, but also kind of the area around it with the little villages and stuff as well. And it was the nearest authentically Christian population. There is an important distinction here because the Yemeni folks were Oriental Orthodox, and they primarily looked to Aksum, aka Ethiopia, right? But Najran was part of the Assyrian Church of the East. We know that because they exchanged letters back and forth, and their history was recorded not by Yemen or over in Ethiopia, but was recorded by Assyrian Church of the East authorities and things like that, which means that they are all in communion and they're part of the same group. At this time, there are 4 branches of Christianity operational in the area. One are the Maronite Christians of Lebanon that Muhammad knows nothing about and never learned anything about. Another one are the Nestorians, who are Najran and up in some eastern parts of Syria. The church is split there. Some sees are one, some are the other. And then there's the Oriental Orthodox, and finally there's I will just call it the Byzantine Church, which is the parent of the Eastern Orthodox and the Catholics, and Latin Christianity and Greek Christianity as such. They have very, very, very tiny distinctions in belief, and they're all centered around, well, except for the Marianites. The Marianites are complete heretics at this time, but forget about them. The other ones have very fine distinctions in Christology about how Jesus Christ is both God and man, and how one should refer to him as such. The Nestorians emphasize that it's better to say that Mary is the mother of Christ because she is the biological source of the flesh of the incarnation, rather than just call her the mother of God, because a stupid person, in the chat, what stupid person would think this way? A stupid person might think by saying that she's the mother of God, that implies that she is an origin of the godness of Christ. So they wanted to keep that distinction so that really dumb people wouldn't confuse the two, because we use God the Father in a particular sense, and if we use Mary, the mother of God, in a different sense than we do God the Father, God the Son. When we say that she is the mother of God, we do not mean that she is the mother of God in the same way that the Father is the father of the Son. We do not mean it in the same way. So it's a polysemous use of the word. And they don't want dumb people like Mohammed to be confused and think that what they mean is that they made God at that time, that she made God, that this was the origin of God. Now, there is the general association of parts of the Middle East with Nestorian theology is why 20th century Orientalists invented the idea that Muhammad was influenced by Nestorianism, but this would have literally kept Muhammad from making these stupid mistakes. If he had never heard her called the mother of God at all and only the mother of Christ, it's possible that he might not have made this mistake. So, and I do want to be extraordinarily clear here. Jawad, you need to explain what all of the people who are interacting with the Christians think that Allah believes the Trinity to be. Because what Muhammad taught was that there's a huge man-like God up in space above everything else, looking down on the pancake flat earth. And that the Christians believe that this man God came down, had intercourse with a human woman, Mary, and created another son God, Jesus. And somehow, because they're really dumb, they think that Mary's a goddess too. That's what Muhammad believes that Christians believe. And that's what the Quran teaches that Christians believe. And this is what every single one of the early tafsir and other sources that deal with this topic believe that Christians believe, if they or believe that what Muhammad or what the Quran is teaching that Christians believe. Okay. Now, at this time, there was a Christian majority, but also in Najran were some pagans. Muhammad had just sent people there to slaughter them or convert them, and they converted to Islam from their paganism. And also Jews were also there, and the Christian majority is living fine with both of these. Malik talked about Umar dealing with the Jews of Najran too. And then there's the entire story of Walid going after the pagans there that we don't need to get into. So this is part of the early delegations of 3601, but the fallout does not occur until 632. So he begins sending letters to various communities, inviting them to Islam. This is not the famous year of delegations. This is later after the conquest of Mecca. And this was delivered by Al-Walid, Ali ibn Abu Talib. The Christians didn't convert. And then Muhammad sent Al-Mughira to explain Islam further to them. And they're like, you're a crackpot. You know nothing about what we believe. You're an idiot. We don't believe any of this, but they said it more politely. And then in response, those Christians supposedly sent a delegation of 60 people, including 45 scholars, to Muhammad in Medina. And this is complete nonsense. Every time they rewrote the story, the number became bigger. So, but they did send a delegation. Only 3 of them talked to Muhammad. And then here are 3 of them. There's the chief, the bishop, and then a 3rd guy. Muhammad permitted the Christians to pray in his mosque, which they did, turning toward the east. And this shows that these folks might actually have some clue as to what's happening. It would not have just been a prayer. Christians don't turn toward the east to pray. Perhaps they were celebrating a mass there as a kind of forceful, no, this is what the proper faith is kind of action. So here is the reaction to this dude who went down. They said, so he's there reading, oh, let me recite to you of the Quran, which is from Allah. And the Christians are like, you are so full of it. You read, O sister of Harun. They called Mary, the mother of Jesus, the sister of Aaron. But Moses was born much before Jesus. So why are you saying that Aaron is that is the brother of Mary? You're full of nonsense. And so what does Mughira go and do? Does he say, well, of course it's not the same Aaron. This is another person. No, he's like, oh my goodness, is this really true? Oh, I have to go and ask the prophet. Remember, this guy has been a prophet for 20-something years at this point. And for 20-something years, he has taught who is Mary. Mary is a sister of Moses and Aaron and the daughter of Amram. He has consistently taught people that Mary is related to Moses. For 20 years, he has taught this. And Mughira just doesn't even know what to say or what to think or how to deal with it. Oh my goodness, this question, I don't know, I will run back. And then Muhammad's answer is like, oh, well, he just happens to have the same name. It's not the same Aaron, it's a different guy. They just used to name people about pious folks who came before them. Well, here's the problem. Her father also has the same name too. It's the family. The family has the name. It's the family's names. It's not just one name that's the same. It's just not one repetition that's the same. And what's particularly hilarious is that Muhammad later, whenever he was divorcing his wives over Aisha or some other time, or over Mary the Coptic, this was probably considerably later actually, whenever he was ticked off at his wives over the fact that he kept having intercourse with Mary the Coptic, at one point he declares that, that Allah has promised to me Pharaoh's wife and Noah's sister. And Noah's sister. And Moses's sister. In some of these versions, but in others it says Pharaoh's wife, and this is probably what he said at that time, but he changed it later to Pharaoh's wife, Moses's sister, and the mother of Jesus are going to be married to him to show that he doesn't think that the mother of Jesus and the sister of Aaron are the same people. He revised this later on to say that, Allah will marry me to Pharaoh's wife, the sister of Moses, and the mother of Jesus. I couldn't possibly think they're the same people if Allah's going to marry me to all of them. And in some versions, he doesn't even know what Moses' sister's name is supposed to be. And so he calls her Kulthum to try to cover up the fact that he was calling Mary, the mother of Jesus, literally the sister of Moses. It's just a pathetic cover-up.
Nothing unusual here. I mean, Muhammad never knows the names of women that are supposed to be in the Quran. Wad, this is the last time I'm going to say this. You got to give specific responses, or I'm going to time you out so you can go sit in the corner until you figure out a specific response.
Yes,
You
I
just keep
do
saying- you
realize. I do realize that Muhammad is incredibly stupid and primitive and backwards. This is why I consistently say that Islam truly did come from a moronic illiterate. Mughira did not know that Mary, the mother of Jesus, was not the sister of Moses and Aaron. He firmly, a longtime Muslim, believed that this woman was the sister of Moses. He believed this because Muhammad taught this.
Mm-hmm. So, Wad, either start giving specific responses or keep your mouth shut, because I have no interest. Right? I have no interest in you just spamming over and over again. This is a bad argument. Mary doesn't know what the sources say. Mary's misinterpreting. Blah blah blah. You could literally program a robot to send that response every 30 seconds, and it would have as much meaning to the conversation as what you're doing.
Yep.
Are you
So
as dumb as a robot who is just sending messages without listening to a word? If not, then you need to start actually interacting, or you're going to time out.
All right, so here is the supposed context of the Mubahala. So this is from Ibn Kathir's report. Jawad, yes, I have read Sahih al-Bukhari on this topic. And again,
that's just another generic response.
Sorry,
spam
no. You can spam that all you want. You need to show some. Why did not
give us a
specific explain why Mughira did not know how to answer the question. He was sent there by Muhammad to represent Islam. Why is it that he was caught out and did not know how to answer when the Christians laughed at him because you're saying that Mary was Aaron and Moses' sister? Why could he not give an intelligent reply? Why did he have to run back to Muhammad and go, oh my goodness, what do I do? Mm-hmm. Muhammad has been a prophet for 20 years. That is the lifetime of some of his soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I suspect highly that Watt actually doesn't have his volume on and doesn't actually know what he's trying to respond to, and just said, haven't you read Sahih al-Bukhari? Because that's what he always does. He just sends responses that don't show any clue that he knows what we're talking about. So I suspect he's not listening, and he definitely won't type in the chat, yes, I'm listening.
All right. So Ibn Kathir reports that this Yunus, again, this is a guy who sold the truth of Christianity for a foul lie. For a foul lie. No, Jawad, this is his answer. And it's the same in Sahih al-Bukhari. It's the same answer in Sahih Muslim and Sahih al-Bukhari.
Don't worry about Wad.
That is the point.
I put him in
the point is that Muhammad, for 20 years, taught that they were the same person. And then when he was humiliated, he made up a response. It's the same answer. There's no difference. And the same issue is still there. Mughira comes running back with his tail between his legs going, oh my goodness, they told me there were many years between them and I didn't know what to say. Why didn't he know what to say? Why didn't he know what to say? Why did he not know what to say? So,
Mary, I timed him out so you'd stop taking the bait. He's not interacting with your actual argument. He's just telling you a couple words to make you go off on another tangent.
But here's the
he doesn't know how Sahih Bukhari. He doesn't know how Sahih Bukhari helps his argument in any way because it doesn't. He's just saying it. He needs to actually explain his argument or his point, right? Otherwise, you're just going to keep saying the same thing, and Wad's going to win because he's going to have distracted everyone in the chat from the actual points you're making.
So, and again, like, oh, Muhammad had an answer. Oh, so after 21 years, 22 years of being a prophet, Muhammad came up with an answer that contradicts what clearly everyone believed up until this time. This is his representative to Christianity, who knows so much about Islam that he can fully explain it. So,
and not only that,
Mhm.
Mary, not only that, his explanation is also false, right? Because people literally did not just give the names of former prophets at the time that Mary was born.
Yeah,
There were
they
no
didn't.
one in the
No
first
one.
century, in the Second Temple period more broadly, was named Aaron. Literally no
Yep.
one, because it was against the custom of the Jews of the time to name people that. So even though he comes up with this alternate excuse, or someone makes it up 100 years later and puts it in Muhammad's mouth, either way, it's still false. It doesn't
Yep.
do any good.
No, and there was no Moses, there was no Noah. So these were not names that people gave at this time. They did not give these names. So it's just a complete lie. All right. So this is Yunus, who had been born into a Christian community. So he's going to be a filthy liar because he ran over to Islam for money. So people who sell out their birthright of truth for a lie for money, they're going to be filthy liars. But this is still the story that he told later. And yes, that is a good point. There's no one named Amran either. It just wasn't a common name at that time. Nobody named their kid that. So he said that Momo wrote this following letter to the Christians, inviting them to Islam. And the name of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, from Muhammad, the prophet and messenger of God, to the bishop of Najran and the people of Najran, accept Islam. Whereas I convey to you the praises of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, I invite you to turn to the worship of Allah from the worship of his servants. I invite you to accept Allah rather than his servants as your master. If you refuse my call, then it shall be the jizya poll tax. If you refuse my call, I shall declare war against you. And the bishop was troubled by this letter. He thus sent for a man named Shurahabil for consultation. And Shurahabil was a wise man who was always called upon in the times of crisis. After showing him the letter, the bishop asked, "What is your advice, O Abu Maryam?" That would just be his kunya. It's the same dude. So Shurahabil said, "You know well that God promised Abraham a prophet to come from the progeny of Ishmael." Yeah. Does the bishop know that God promised Abraham a prophet to come from the progeny of Ishmael? Is that a promise of the Bible? No, absolutely not. There's no promise in the Bible that you will have a prophet to come from the progeny of Ishmael. Notice that this man is a filthy liar. Do the Muslims call him out and go, "That's not what your book is supposed to say about Muhammad"? No, they accept it. Yeah, that's totally what should be in your book. So I asked Muslims, where does it say in our book that we are waiting for a final prophet from the progeny of Ishmael? Because it must say this for this not to be a filthy lie of a coward and traitor. So it may be that this man is a promised prophet. I have no opinion on matters of prophethood. Had this been a worldly matter, I would have made every effort to give you the best advice. So this is supposed to be setting them up to recognizing Muhammad as the Quran says that they do, like they do their children. You need to have in the Bible, in the Injil, because it's supposed to be the Injil, right? Because a Christian's book is called the Injil for some reason. Our entire Bible is the Injil. And it's supposed to say that we are promised a prophet of the progeny of Ishmael that we're all waiting for. Find it. Go find it. So then the bishop sent for a man. This is another source that's telling essentially the same one. Sent for him, but he had no advice to give. He sent for another man who could offer no advice. The bishop finally ordered the church bells to be sounded, fires to be kindled, and sackcloth to be displayed in monasteries. Apparently there are a bunch now, not just one. We only know about one. When the bells were sounded, all the inhabitants of the valley gathered together. In the valley there were 73 towns with 120,000 fighters. This is all nonsense, of course. The bishop read the letter to them. It was agreed that 3 men would be sent to Medina to bring back news of the prophet. 3 men is the actual, this part is true. It's 3 men. It's only 3 men. And then their entire entourage is a total of 14. But we changed this. So as I was looking through all of the mentions of Najran, I read this and I laughed my backside off because it's so stupidly Muhammad. It shows that Muhammad is sniffing his own farts and believing that his own nonsense is coming from a God, but it's nonsense. So Muhammad declared suddenly, without any warning, Allah has told me that you can't wear gold rings. It's like hellfire on your hands, and you have to spend all your gold killing people. So you need to spend all your gold to fund wars against the unbelievers and slaughter them. You can't wear any because that will send you to hellfire. So it says a man came from Najran and met to the messenger of Allah. He was wearing a gold ring, and the messenger of Allah turned away from him and said, "You have come to me with a coal of fire on your head." So who would this be? Who wore rings back then? Always. Muhammad knew who wore rings. People who were important wore seals, because that's how they sealed official documents. And all bishops wore bishop rings to seal the official documents relating to the business of the church, because the church handled quite a bit of money just taking care of the property and feeding the monks and feeding the priests, but also feeding the poor, running the local hospital or charity thing. That a lot of money ran through their hands. So you would have a lot of documents that you would also need to mark with an official seal to make sure that it came, directly from the bishop, it's his authority. So they would have a gold ring with a seal on the back. And the tradition of wearing bishop's rings dates back to at least the 6th century, with the Pope Gregory the Great often credited for formalizing practice, basically saying every bishop must have a ring. And of course, his would mainly relate to the West, but it would be the same everywhere. You need it, just like you would need if you go to the Far East. You have chops, and this stamp is your official signature on official documents. Still in Japan, for instance, you have to have a special stamp with your kanji carved in it. You must have it. That is how you sign things. This is how they sign things. All bishops had rings that were gold. That was the metal of gold rings. And Muhammad here is reacting to something that every single bishop has, based upon the thing that he made up suddenly one day so that he could get more money to kill people with, acting as if this actually comes from God, and anyone else other than people who had been listening to Muhammad would have heard of this nonsense, that you can't wear gold in this life because it will send you to hell, but in the next life you'll be rewarded with gold for not wearing gold in this life, and instead giving it to kill people. And I actually was able to confirm completely that Muhammad does sniff his own farts, believe he makes stuff up, and then he convinces himself that it comes from God.
Well, we do have Islamic knowledge in the chat who objects to you using the word fart, saying that this is highly inappropriate for Christians. And then he cites Matthew 15:11.
That's hilarious.
States that what enters the
what
it's not what enters the
goofball.
mouth that defiles a person, but what comes out of the mouth. Did you bother to read the next verse?
Yeah, really.
Just a question. Did you bother to read the next verse where Jesus tells you exactly what defiles a person that comes out of his mouth? I'm guessing not. I'm guessing you probably didn't. Had a super chat from Watcher of Times. Sunnis say Shias lie. Shias say Sunnis lie. And both are finally telling the truth for once. Sounds about right. If you think that, Christian critiques of Islam are harsh or mean-spirited or whatever, you should see Sunnis talking about Shiism or vice versa. They hold nothing back, and they have a tendency to say that the other is the worshiper of the devil, right? That they're completely false, 180 degrees opposite of one another, unless, of course, they're trying to talk about how Islam is the world's fastest growing religion. Then they, of course, both count each other. But in all other circumstances, they hate one another with a passion, and say that the other is probably the worst creatures on earth. Oh, and Islamic knowledge confirmed that they've never read the Bible because they said Chat GPT. They went to Chat GPT to say what the verse means instead of just reading the next line. But thank you for
Yep.
letting me know that spiritual defilement comes from the heart, not from food, and manifests in what a person says and does. But it's not about saying the word fart, okay, buddy?
No, it's not. It's about being a fart sniffer. Don't be a fart sniffer and teach false things and teach ridiculous things and lie and corrupt.
Mhm.
Muhammad
Islamic knowledge, yeah.
Muhammad violated all of these things because he was a blasphemer.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I would hate to think what Islamic knowledge thinks about Jesus and how he talked to the Pharisees, right? He'd be like, Jesus, you're defiling yourself by calling them whitewashed tombs. Good, proper people don't talk about whitewashed tombs.
Really? So when the men from Najran arrived in Medina, they took off their travel clothes and donned, should be, rich garments and adorned themselves with gold rings. Gold rings, gold rings. They entered the mosque of the Prophet and greeted him, but he did not return their greeting. They waited in vain to speak to him, but he ignored them. So in this version, he says, you have come to me with a coal of fire on your hand. This other version, they're like, oh, the bishop's ring. I cannot stand it. It burns. It burns. So a bishop's ring is painful to Muhammad because he's from Satan, apparently. So they go, you need to take off your bishop clothing because that's burning my eyes. You need to take off the bishop's ring because that causes me pain. So Uthman tells him to put back on regular, or Ali was the one who said, put back on your traveling clothes because, all the stuff that's Christian just is so painful to Muhammad. So then he greeted them and said, by him who sent with the truth, they came to me the first time, and Iblis was with them. The devil himself was with them. So Muhammad thinks that bishops and bishops' rings and Christian things are the devil. So to him, that's it. So anyway, they debated along with Muhammad, exchanging many questions. At last, they asked, what do you say concerning Jesus? We are Christians. We will return to our people, but we will be glad to hear what you say concerning him, since you claim to be a prophet. And he answered, supposedly answered, I have nothing to say as today, and I'll tell you tomorrow what my Lord tells me of Jesus. And this may have been when the body of Surah 3 was revealed. It definitely wasn't in the order that the sources say it's in, because it makes no sense whatsoever. Unless, of course, he's just cribbing off the Christians. Whatever they told him, he just put into his book. So you have one of two options. Option one is that most of Surah 3 was revealed immediately after this. Or you have option two, where basically nothing of any substance was revealed after he promised to tell them about Jesus. But then later, he took from what the Christians told him orally and created out of it the entire surah, including all the things that are not from the real Injil. So here's another one that that part of what they were reacting to was that the word of Allah is Jesus, was one of the early things that they reacted to in the exchange. Now, there are several different versions of this, and it's very amusing. Wahidi, for example, says that 14 members of the Christian nobles waited on him, waiting upon Muhammad, came from there. But then, of course, and another one, there's 60 writers, and 14 of them are nobles. In reality, there were 3 representatives and total of 11 extra people, most likely, with him. But you can see this ridiculous embroidering pattern, which is typical of legendary material that has been tampered with, but that has the historicity at the center, because most of them admit 3 people talked to Muhammad. Most of them admit that there were 14 people who were important, and then they just need to add extra people to make them seem like Muhammad seem more powerful and them seem more important. right?
Mhm.
So the verse that we know that they were immediately responding to is 4:171, where it says that Jesus is the spirit of Allah and his word. Okay? And it's like, oh, they interpreted these words in a manner consistent with their statement of disbelief, according to the Islamic sources, right? They argued with him, saying, do you yourself not claim that Jesus is the word of God and a spirit from him? And he replied, but of course I believe that. Notice the Christians are taking what approach? Are the Christians taking an exterior critique, or are they talking about what Muhammad himself claims to believe? Muhammad himself claims to believe right now Jesus is the spirit of Allah and his word. Muhammad himself affirms that he believes this. So they're going to go, and so they replied, well, that's enough for us. Why? Why do they say it's enough for us if that's what you believe? If you believe that Jesus is the word of God, what does that mean? It means he's God. If you believe that he's the spirit of God, he's not a creation. He is God properly. And then they're like, if you say that, you believe he's God. And then we would have very little beef with you. And then he flips out. Those in whose hearts are doubt pursue that which is ambiguous of it. So then, in response to this, we get either parts of 3 or the vast majority of 3, and then some more editing shoved in later. So, if
Mary, while you're paused there briefly, I just wanted to point out that Watt came back for 5 seconds, and he tried to insult you with like the least applicable insult in history. He said that you're delicate, right? If I was thinking of something to describe Mary, it would not be the word delicate. But
this
of
is
course,
not my theology. This is what Islam was at this time. Jawad, you might disagree with what every Muslim alive during the time of Muhammad believed. I know you do. You think that Muhammad was a moron. You think that all these people were stupid. That's fine. Think they're stupid. Think that Mughira is an idiot. Think that every single companion was an absolute blithering fool. Think that all the authors of the Tafsir are fools, because they are to you too. I am telling you by reading it what these sources say. No one else with half a brain, a quarter brain, a fifth of a brain would ever come up with any other belief than the sensible one from this. I agree with the sources and what they are saying about what the Muslims believe. It's very transparent. That is what they believe. You disagree with Islam. That's fine. But don't say that I have bad theology.
I will tell you about Watt's comment next time, because I didn't want you to go on a long tirade. I just wanted to point out that he called you delicate, which was hilarious. But you're right. He did accidentally say that the theology, he's trying to say you're very bad at theology. Yes. But instead he's saying, you're saying very bad theology when you're teaching what Islam teaches.
And all I'm doing is I'm teaching you what the sources at the time of Muhammad are saying. Muhammad drastically changed his theology throughout his life. For most of Muhammad's life, his theology was terrible Islamic theology. And even when he died, he did not teach anything that would be recognized as appropriate Islamic theology.
Oh, okay, good, Idris. So we got Idris saying that he's at work, so he can't focus right now, but he could cook you in any debate. Oh, Idris, my email is in the video description. Email me there. Tell me a time that you're not working, right? We're not going to try to make you take off work or something. Just a time that works for you. And we can set up that debate with Mary, or if you are being honest and you think that Mary's too tough, you can take me on instead, because I'm way easier than Mary. And let's have that debate. Let's have that debate.
All right.
Because she's easy money, right? Easy money. He can destroy you in a debate, but right now he's distracted and can't. So stop being distracted. Go do your job. Send me an email, and let's set up a time for you.
Reasoned Answer, Thaddeus at reasonedanswers.com.
It's also in the video description. you know, 99 times out of 10, I give this out. I've never sent an email, but that is at reasonanswers.com. Whoops.
Whoops, you don't have an S. Sorry.
I know. I'm deleting it.
Anyway.
I can't
All
even
right,
type my own
so-
email address.
As we go on, again, the Christians say that if you say that he is the word of God and a spirit from him, you're saying he's God. If you say that the word of God is other than God himself, is some other thing, then you are saying that your God is mute and cannot speak. If Jesus is a word of God, the word of God, then he is uncreated. If you're saying he's spirit of God, he is uncreated. That is the meaning of the ideas of word and spirit in their context. And so they're like, you yourself are saying these things that are Trinitarian phrases. Why are you saying them? Because you are stupid and don't know what you're saying and you're just repeating stuff other people said. But they are being much nicer than I am. And so he's like,
All right, so pause for a second again, Mary, because I want to get this before Eucalyptus leaves. It's been so long since I listened, but still talking same old, same old. We have literally never talked about Mubahala ever in the entire time that I've had this channel. Yet we got this genius coming in here. Probably it hasn't even turned on the volume, but wants to pretend like we never have any arguments, right? So it says, oh, you've just been saying the same thing every stream for years. Even though we've literally never discussed this topic before.
Correct. All right. So then Allah sends down a verse in the middle of the third, the surah, the family of Imran, right? It's in the middle of the third surah, which would imply that all the rest of the third surah, that a lot of it was already in place. And it's at this point that Muhammad is hammering in corrections to his previous revelation. Now notice, and then here is Ibn Ishaq's account, was that there was that the bishop Abu Haritha occupied a position of honor among them. He was a great student, so that he had an excellent knowledge of their religion. And the Christian kings of Byzantium had honored him and paid him a subsidy and gave him servants and built churches for him. Because you know what we do is we build churches for bishops because they're learned. That makes lots of sense. And lavish honors on him because of his knowledge and zeal for their religion. Najran was not in the Byzantium, was not with the Byzantium bishops. It was a Syrian Church of the East. This is just typical Muslim ridiculous embroidery that shows the deep ignorance of the early Islamic historians and the way that they would embroider anything that would make them seem more important, Muhammad seem more special. And again, this shows that the origins of this are just being made up. You know, the embroidery is not happening in some sort of controlled way. This is just typical like myth making. Like, my dad can beat up your dad. Well, my dad's 6 feet tall, or my dad's 6'4". Well, my dad's actually 6'8". Like this kind of nonsense. He wasn't just the bishop of Najran. He was so great that the kings of Byzantium gave him everything and gave him the servants and gave him all these churches.
You could say he's a 6'6" giant who could beat up women. So why would he do a Mubahala?
Right. I mean, like, that's kind of the huge thing now, right? So they're trying to build him up into this towering figure for Muhammad to knock down, is the idea, even though, of course, the Najran was not in communion with Byzantium, had no intercourse with the Byzantium, no communication with Byzantium whatsoever. So the question is then, how stupid are the Muslims? And the answer is yes, the Muslims listening to Muhammad are that stupid. They're stupider than you think. As stupid as you can think, they are dumber. So here are the three. They were Christians according to the Byzantine rite. No, they were not. They were not Byzantine. They were Syrian Church of the East. Then it says, though they differed among themselves in some points. So they are saying that these 3 people who are knowledgeable. Well, this is 14 men, but only 3 spoke to Muhammad here. Of these, the first 3 names spoke to Muhammad. And they differed among the 3, supposedly. Supposedly, they belong to a right. But one of them will say that Jesus is God. Another one will say that Jesus is the Son of God. And a third one would say that he is the third person of the Trinity, which is the doctrine of Christianity. So, according to this source, I think it's Ibn Ishaq, it is not the doctrine of the Trinity, or not the doctrine of Christianity, that Jesus is God. It is not the doctrine of Christianity. They've had, at this point, like 200 years to figure out what Christianity believes. And they've very carefully not done that, because if you did, you'd realize that Islam is stupid. So they were very careful not to find out what Christians actually believe. That he is God, saying that he is the Son of God, is not the doctrine of Christianity. And he is the third person of the Trinity. Oh, that's the doctrine of the Trinity. Now, would 3 people from the same right differ amongst themselves about the nature of God? No. Would any Christian say that Jesus is not God? No. Would any Christian say that Jesus is not the Son of God? No. Would any Christian say that Jesus is not the third person of the Trinity? No. They all said all 3 things, because that's what being the third person of the Trinity means. So Ibn Ishaq, even at this distance, is so stupid that he does not understand what the Trinity is. That is a belief in one God in 3 persons. And that the persons are Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And we'll get to that later, because Ibn Ishaq believes that the belief of the Trinity is Father, Son, and Mary. So, and so these people are too dumb to even follow.
So we have ironic that you were trying to say a thought there, because it applies, but we have someone who doesn't understand how slides work. So her objection is that you're not just reading the slide word for word, and thus she can't follow along. But you are saying the words on the slide, right? And then you're adding additional commentary to explain what the slide is about. Huh.
Perhaps you should be able to read better.
Critical thinking and commentary.
Yeah, let me see that forehead there. That might be Flower Petal. That forehead is looking awfully familiar. Yeah, that's Flower Petal. So she's just going to come and attack me because she got called out.
That's funny. Mary shouldn't write so much, but her complaint is that you didn't write all the words, right? Because she thinks, she's like, oh, I can't follow the slides because you're saying way more words that are on the slides. And then she says, perhaps you shouldn't write so much, but she actually wants you to write way more.
Yeah, I'd recognize that forehead anyway. That's Flower Petal. All right. So these folks that were listening in on this, they were eavesdropping. They were too dumb to follow basic arguments in their own native language. They're too stupid to know this. Now, Jawad actually thinks that it's a good argument to say that the bishop of Najran was not a person who was knowledgeable in his religion, that he didn't know what he was talking about. He thinks that's a good argument. So I guess it's a good argument to say that, and they spent all this ridiculous time building up him up as this smartest guy ever who knows everything about his religion. But you know, you can go ahead and explain how the bishop does not know his own religion, when what is actually being expressed here is correct Trinitarian theology that the listeners are too stupid to understand because they are so stuck in a very primitive polytheistic mindset where you're all little gods who are fighting each other. So the Najran men here, they're giving internal critiques. They're arguing consistently from the Quran that Muhammad was so stupid that he gave Jesus qualities that only God has, while also being so stupid that he doesn't even realize that that's what he's done. They're not arguing from the gospel, but this is an internal misspelled critique, showing that Muhammad was inadvertently teaching that Jesus was God. Because Muhammad was stealing from sources that said that Jesus was God, Muhammad himself was attributing to Jesus things that can only be true of God. And they are pointing out, just as Christians have for 1400 years, that in the Quran, Jesus has all of these qualities and abilities that only belong to God himself. And so Ishaq says that they argue that he is God because he used to raise the dead and heal the sick. And that is found in Surah 5, 110, and that he declares the unseen. Now it's said, this is kind of mixing up several things. So I'll just stick with 5:110 for a moment, that he can raise the dead and heal the sick and make clay birds and breathe into them so that they flew away. So he did these things, and this was by the actually permission of Allah. So Allah just gives him permission, and he can raise the dead, heal the sick, only with permission, because he has the intrinsic ability. According to the Quran, Jesus has the intrinsic ability to heal the sick, raise the dead, make clay birds, and breathe life into them and make them come alive. He can make clay into life. He can create life. He is a creator. Now, Allah is the best of creators, but Jesus can do these things. And all he has is the permission of Allah. He does not have Allah is not doing this in his power for him. It's just by his permission he can do it. People are, but it's by his permission. Yeah, guess what? I can give my children permission to fly up to the clouds by flapping their arms, but because they lack the inherent ability, they will not do that. So if I give them permission to go and play at their friend's house, they will walk across on their little feet and they will go and play with their friends, because I have given them permission. So they have that ability to go do it. If I give them permission to do that which they cannot do, they do not do that thing with all the permission in the world, because you must have not just permission, but power. And so the Christians are going, Jesus has this power intrinsically in your source. How can you say he's not God? And another one is declare the unseen. Now, here, the Christians would be going to the verses that say that that only Allah can declare the unseen. And they're like, well, Jesus declared the unseen. He is making known to men what was secret before. He made the mysteries, he made mysteries manifest. So then he would have to necessarily be God according to your own standards. And then another one is, we will make him a sign to men, 43:61. Jesus being a sign is also referred to as, in the Old Testament and the New Testament, is connected to Christ being God as well. That as a sign, that he himself is intrinsically a sign. How is a man a sign? How is he a sign? He's a sign of what? What does that even mean? But in the New Testament, using the language of the Old Testament, which is attributed only to God in other circumstances, that Christ will be made high and lifted up, and Jesus saying that that is him on the cross, that's saying that that is God on the cross. So, continuing on, another argument. They argue that he is son of God, and that they say he had no known father. Now, what's he doing here? They're doing here. Muhammad's like, he's not the son of God because he had a virgin birth, and so God didn't sleep with Mary and make a son. And the Christians went, yeah, him being born of a virgin, that is how he is the son of God, because it was God becoming incarnate. That's why he is the son of God. Muhammad all this time thought that Jesus for sure wasn't the son of God because God didn't have intercourse with Mary. And so clearly that wasn't their kid, all right? Because what else could it mean? And he thought that the virgin birth disputed with the Christian teaching that Jesus is the Son of God. And they're like, no, this is the teaching. The incarnation is the teaching. Mm-hmm. And Muhammad, of course, is shut down. And then according to the Quran, again, that he spoke in the cradle And this is something no child of Adam has ever done. So they're asking, okay, your own book says that he's speaking in the cradle. And that's in 19, which was an earlier surah. But no child of Adam has ever spoken in the cradle. So why are you saying that he is doing that and he's still just a man? And then they argue that he is a third in three, and that God says, we have done, we have commanded, we have created, we have decreed. And so they're pointing out, why on earth would you use we to describe Allah? Why does he speak in we? Why on earth does Allah speak in we? The Christians, who are native Arabic speakers, do not go, oh, we, that's totally normal, the way that we speak in the royal we. That's something we've heard of before. They're like, no, the only reason you do that is because the plurality points to the Trinity. And I've already mentioned in the past that I believe that Muhammad adopted this when Aksum first sent a representative to Muhammad while he was in Mecca to find out what he believed. And when they found out that he was a crackpot, they just tried to challenge him a little bit, give him a little bit of a push and ask him, so why, so in our Bible here, God speaks in we. Why does God do that? And Muhammad completely failed the test and was like, well, God just sometimes says we. And then after that point, you find in the Quran that a lot of the time Allah says we. But the Christian point was that the we points to Trinity. When the people from Aksum came to talk to Muhammad, and immediately when the people from Najran came to Muhammad, the only reason your God would say we is because of Trinity. Now, he was aping the Trinitarian language in Genesis 1:26, but Muhammad was too stupid to understand the implications of including this. So had no real answer. Now, and then here is the Trinity according to Ibn Ishaq. According to Ibn Ishaq, this is what this bishop would have said, that Allah, and Jesus and Mary. Again, very clearly, what does Ibn Ishaq believe that Christians believe is God? Allah, Mary, and their little baby that they had through intercourse, Jesus. That is what the Quran teaches. That is what Ibn Ishaq believes. And that is what all of the Muslims of this time believed, that all Christians believed in. That Jesus came into being as the Son of God when God had intercourse with Mary. And so that is why they believe that the virgin birth is some sort of refutation of this, because that's what Muhammad thought, because he really, truly was that stupid. And Allah is that stupid. This means that Islam is false, everyone. Allah thinks that the Trinity, believed in by Christians as a whole, is that there are three gods, a huge, big old Allah up in the sky, which is what Allah really is. Allah really is in Islam, a huge man up in the sky with sperm and genitals and little chins and feet and all the rest of that stuff, and a face and ears, and he can hear and he can see, and his hearing isn't seeing because he's just a big man up in space. This is what the Quran teaches of Allah. And the people who rejected that later were just humiliated by the teachings of Muhammad. And so they had to throw it away, throw some of it behind their backs, and believe in some of it. They distort it with their lips, they distort it with their tongues, and they distort it by taking with their hands and writing things other than Allah's speech and claiming that it is what Allah meant.
So Wad has really thrown himself under the bus. Right. So in a desperate attempt to explain why Allah doesn't know the Trinitarian doctrine, he says, well, case closed. The product of Muhammad's interaction with these people resulted in him writing verses that reflect this heretical view. This is Allah's eternal word written for all Christians, but somehow Muhammad's stupid understanding of what he was being told at this particular time and place, got into the Quran. Case closed. Mary, why are you being so stupid? Why don't you just realize that the Quran is Muhammad's words, and thus it's not mistaken about the Trinity, or Allah's not mistaken about the Trinity, because God admits that Muhammad wrote these words.
And do keep in mind that at this time, Najran was part of the Assyrian Church of the East. They already had centers of higher learning for monks and priests that they all went to. They are not just making up whatever they want. They are part of the Assyrian Church of the East, and the Assyrian Church of the East split off from the Byzantines over an incredibly fine point.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot say that the people who refuse to say that Mary is the mother of God would say that Mary is a goddess.
All right, Mary, you don't need to re-explain everything for Wad. I highly suspect he understood everything the first time, and he's just being silly and stupid to try to get you off topic.
I just want to be very clear.
He said to me, right? He said to me, yes, LOL, when I said that Muhammad wrote the Quran. So there you go.
No. He's saying that to me because he's saying, but the verses.
It's and answers. Yes, LOL. And he said it right as I was finishing my rant about how Muhammad wrote the Quran. So
that's hilarious.
This is what, right? He's saying, see, there's no problem in the Quran. Muhammad was just writing what he understood from his conversation. What's your problem with that? That's Wad's position.
And the issue is that it is not possible that the Bishop of Najran was a heretic at this time, according to the Assyrian Church of the East. That's not possible. So that can only mean that Muhammad was so stupid he couldn't understand it. And Allah is limited by the understanding of Muhammad. The Quran never, ever articulates Trinitarianism as other than the belief
because Allah didn't know of any other kind.
No,
right? He didn't know of any other kind. Because as Wad told us, Muhammad had interactions, and this is the understanding that he and his limited intelligence derived from the conversation, and thus that's what he put in the Quran. And then the authors of the Quran, plural, emphasized on the grossness of saying 3 and 1, because that is the only thing that they could come up with. That the word 3 is wrong. It's supposed to be the word 1. They couldn't understand that Christians aren't using 3 in the same sense they're using 1.
No, because we believe in one God. Every Christian says we believe in one God. We believe in how many gods? One. Now, Muhammad can't conceive of this because he's really dumb. Because he was not even, he was neglected as a baby. And that affects your intelligence. So
he's trying to dispute us, but he keeps agreeing. He keeps saying that the authors of the Quran were just really dumb and didn't understand what the Christians teach, and that's why they got the doctrine wrong, because it was based on a specific time and place and a specific person or person's understanding. So what is your problem,
do you know whose
Mary?
understanding? Yeah, do you know whose understanding it couldn't have been? The bishops,
the creator of the universe.
Well, no, it was the Allah's. It was Allah's understanding, because Allah can't understand anything that Muhammad can't understand. Allah is exactly as dumb as Muhammad is, because Allah is Muhammad's sock puppet.
That's why I said the creator of the universe instead of Allah.
Yeah. My goodness. So anyway, and another one. Here's another version of the confrontation. So then Muhammad's like, "You need to submit yourselves or surrender yourselves." With the right here is Islam, right? And they're like, we have already surrendered to the true God. You yourself and your stupid book, and again, they're speaking much more nicely than I am, but this is what they're thinking. And your moronic, heretical, blabbered out book, you have put enough in there that Jesus can not be anything other than God, because of all these traits that you have given him, because you're too stupid to understand what you yourself are saying. And they're like, we have already submitted to the true God. And he's like, you have not submitted, so submit. They're like, no, we submitted before you even came around. You're coming around saying these things. We have believed in the true God this entire time. It's like, you lie! Your assertion that Allah has a son, that Allah went and had intercourse with Mary and made a baby God. That's what Muhammad thinks this means. That's what Allah thinks this means. Your worship of the cross. So he thinks that they're worshiping the cross because apparently what he does with the black stone is worship. Because, he kisses the black stone. That must be worship. So kissing a cross would be worshiping a cross. Makes no sense. Your eating of pork holds you back from submission. The funny thing is, Muhammad had this crazy. So Muhammad said that the food of the Jews and Christians are fine for Muslims. He taught this for years, that they're fine for Muslims. Why did he teach this? Because the Christians the people from Christian background that he was around were people taken as slaves from Ethiopia, where Christians also don't eat pork. This is the only place in the world where Christians don't eat pork. But Muhammad, only knowing about the dietary patterns of Christians in Ethiopia, thinks that this is a universal thing. So Allah can't know anything other than Muhammad. So Allah says the food of the Jews and the Christians are fine for you in the Quran, being too stupid to know that every other Christian on earth had no problem eating pork. That there are several aspects of Judaizing that became normalized in Ethiopia, but were strongly rejected elsewhere, following portions of Torah and doing certain things that were directly from Judaism that the Christians largely deliberately broke away from. In Ethiopia, where probably a very large percentage of the early Christian community was most likely Jewish because of the large Jewish community that had been there, those became normalized. So because of Muhammad's ignorance, he thinks that these are weird, deviant folks eating pork as well, which is extra funny. But again, remember, Allah says that you can eat the food of the Jews and the Christians. So what's the problem with pork? I eat pork. Pork's great. But anyway, he says, they said, but who is his father, Muhammad? Who is Jesus's father then? And Muhammad was silent, could not answer them. Could not answer them. And then it's like, then Allah sent down the beginning of the Surah of the family of Imran, even though they actually were reacting to the dumb things that he'd already put in there. And it is rather the other things that are shoehorned in there, trying to fix the dumb stuff he said before, that is new. So
it is interesting how, Allah in his wisdom sends a part that is very confusing and almost exact opposite of what he means once you get the additional context that he sent later. He does this repeatedly, right? Whenever Muhammad encounters a position that he can't explain, suddenly Allah sends new verses that change his position 180 from what it used to be.
Yeah.
But Allah, you'd think, would know that people would misunderstand and just send the correct thing from the beginning. But I guess
apparently can't. He can't.
I guess this is how Allah picks scripture. He's like, today I'm going to reveal verse 32. Oh, there's no context to verse 32. Oh, well, who cares? I'll reveal verse 31 later.
Allah absolutely needed Salama to tell him that he had revealed nothing for the women, so that he could reveal the verse that explicitly mentioned the women among the believers and the men among the believers and the women among the believers and the men among the believers. But he needed Salama to remind him of that. He needed someone to remind him that he hadn't said when you can divorce your prepubescent child bride. So he needed to reveal that. He needed Umar to convince Allah that it'd be good to reveal the Surah of the Veil. He needed Umar to tell Muhammad that it's better to slap around your wives and beat them up, and that this whole no hitting women thing isn't good. So, Allah is very, very dependent on all these people reminding him of what's in his book, because he keeps forgetting to send down the whole thing. And he keeps forgetting to clarify things and not have Muhammad teach wrong things for 20 years.
That's the miracle. See, Allah knew what people would later get confused about, so he didn't reveal those parts until after they got confused about it. Or he knew that problems would arise in society, and thus he didn't send the parts until those problems arise. The problems arising from the parts he sent first, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so Wad, we're not here to debate the Trinity today. I already told you that. We're here to get the historical background of Mubahala, which you agreed with was Muhammad making up verses of the Quran to answer the question. So
Yep.
you already agreed with that. We're done with that topic. We're moving on. Thank you.
Yeah, and notice that at this point, there are new parts inserted into Surah 3, especially to try to confuse and obfuscate what had already been revealed, just sheer copium. And then it's pretended in general that all of Surah 3 is from the state. It's not even possible because of how things are wedged in responsive ways. It's not possible for it all to be from the same, like after this event, after the interactions. However, if you are arguing that Mohammed had not previously heard that Jesus turned a clay bird into a living being, and at this point Allah revealed verses that said this, even though it's not in any text used by the Assyrian Church of the East, then what you're saying is that this bishop went down, told fake stories on purpose, and then Allah was so stupid he put those fake stories into the book, which makes even less sense. But what was actually happening is Muhammad had already put a bunch of fake stories and wrong stories and folk versions of old texts from Gnostics into his holy book, saying that they're from Allah. And the Christians did an internal critique on what he claimed to already believe in, showing that this necessarily meant that Jesus was God in the Trinitarian manner. And then Muhammad just wigged out. And his big wig out is 3:7. And this is the one that's most clearly known to be a direct response to these Najrani Christians who, and this is what it says. So he is the one who sent down upon thee of the book, from it, decisive or authoritative signs. This has to do with hikmah. That's the root, is the same root as hikmah. So it's decisive or authoritative signs. The word for a judge or judgment also comes from this, right? They are the mother of the book. So you get the book that is sent down upon, who sent down upon thee the book, from it, or among it, or within it, are decisive and authoritative signs, which are the mother of the book. Now, here's a big problem. The mother of the book had long time ago been established in Mecca as being that which is with Allah. So now Muhammad gets something sent down to him, which is the book. The book is sent down to him, and from among it, among the things that he gets sent down, there is the mother of the book, which is with Allah. Okay? So this portion of it is parts that are with Allah.
Sense.
But right? Then there's this portion that he also gets sent down, and they are not the mother of the book. They are others similar. So this is some other category. Yeah. No one realizes what this verse is saying in Arabic. That's why I'm pushing on this. Because everywhere else, when it talks about the book is synonymous with the mother of the book. And then you get, so the mother of the book is a whole, and the parts are what is on earth. And what is on earth is a portion of what, so here is the book of Allah up here. And now here is what gets sent down from it or of it. And this is the version of the book every other time it's described. The whole is the mother, and the portions are where are distributed down. So the whole of the book will have things that have not yet been revealed to certain people, right? And from that, everyone has the book. Mm-hmm. This is saying something different. This is saying that this is what you are sent down, and of it, this is the overlap with the mother. And then there's this other category that you also have within this book, which is not the mother of the book. The mother of the book is either a portion of this book, or it's a partial overlap with this book. And there's this other category, which is just stuff that's similar to the mother of the book. I want you guys to realize how heretical this is, how completely different this is than what Muhammad had been teaching, and how heretical it is in later Islam. Muhammad died enough later than this that they have revised out what these words actually say and claim that they mean something else. Instead, what they claim that means, he is the one who sent down upon thee the book, and within it there is the foundation of the book. They hide that this is a mother of the book and that the theology of mother of the book is already established. Because what Muhammad has down here is a portion that is a mother of the book and then a bunch of other things that are similar to it. So what Muhammad is saying is, so the Christians say
what he's saying, what he's saying is, I put a bunch of false stuff in here, but only to see people follow the false stuff. That's what he's saying, right?
Well, what he's actually saying is that there are others that were sent, they was still sent down, but it's not from the mother of the book, it's from something else. Whatever. But yeah, it still comes from Allah.
But it's not just extra stuff that's unimportant. It's actually false. And those who follow it follow perversion, right? Those who follow portions of what we call the Quran are following perversions because it didn't come from Allah. Well, it came from Allah, but it wasn't the mother of the book.
Yeah.
He's just like throwing himself under the bus in a desperate attempt to explain away his error, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. So the only part that you're supposed to follow are the part that overlaps, and that's the stuff that's decisive or full of judgment. And you follow that bit, and the other similar stuff that isn't from the mother of the book, don't follow it. Now, what people interpret this as is that some of them are clear and some are unclear, and you should follow the clear ones. That's what it gets turned into. But the mother of the book had an established theology for many years. It means something. So this is just Muhammad throwing everything under the bus. And now he's going, oh, that stuff about word of Allah, that's the other similar stuff. It's not actually from the mother of the book. This other little bit is from the mother of the book. So that's what he's doing. He's throwing out half of his book. Yeah.
Yeah. In other words, I copied a bunch of stuff I didn't understand. I was wrong when I copied that stuff. I was only correct when I copied the other stuff that I understood.
Yeah, basically. But no, you're supposed to say, but then you're supposed to say, those firm in knowledge are the ones who say, we believe in it. All is from our Lord. So everything that's been revealed is from our Lord, but we will not pretend to understand all of the similar to it. We'll just ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist and not think about it. If you try to understand the similar of it, the stuff that resembles it, or, I mean, you might even say that that's like a forgery of it, honestly, because it's similar. Resembling is the idea of it. Mm-hmm. But if you follow the resembling stuff, then you are the one in perversity. But one of the fundamental problems of Islam is that no one knows what the clear parts are. No one knows what the similar is. Some people say that only 7 verses of the entire Quran are the clear part, and some people even say that it's the Al-Fatiha is the only part that you can know anything about. But here's the thing: if you make
all their
mistake,
theology is based. No, this is important. Yeah. No wonder all their theology is based on following Muhammad's example and not the Quran, because no one knows if they can trust the Quran. You just follow Muhammad's example, and then you're good to go.
Yeah,
and that, I mean, it's slightly joking, but also very serious, because that is actually what Islam is. Almost all Islamic theology is based on the example of Muhammad. Very little of it comes directly from the Quran.
Yes.
So they're understanding that you can't trust and understand what the Quran has to say.
And I just wanted to really point out this portion here and how badly it's typically distorted and changed and messed with, right? So, yeah. So that is incredibly important. But then to distract everyone, he goes and does the Mubahala. And here is that from the same surah. And remember, it's supposed to all be revealed within order, but it's not. This is inserted too. So, and whoso disputes with thee concerning him, concerning who? Jesus, after the knowledge has come to you, so you have the correct knowledge of Jesus. that he was just a prophet. Now you should say, come now, let us call our sons and your sons, our wives and your wives, ourselves and yourselves, and then let us humbly pray, and so lay Allah's curse on the ones who lie. So what are you supposed to do? Put Allah's curse on the liars. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the Mubahala. And now notice that it is, are Christians supposed to curse their enemies?
No, I mean, Jesus tells us not to take an oath, right? To just let your yes mean yes. Tell the truth all the time. You don't need to specially go through a special ceremony to tell the truth. Just always tell the truth.
Right. So
It's
you're not
basically the teaching of Christianity.
So you're supposed to bless those who curse you. You're not supposed to curse them. Bless those who curse you. Secondly, you're not supposed to do these weird swearing rituals. That is explicitly taught against by Christ.
Mm-hmm.
So if he stands up there, and notice, he's supposed to make no difference between the prophets. He totally follows the prophets. Is he going to follow Christ? No. He's going to do his own pagan thing because he's a pagan. So Christ ordered people not to do the thing he's doing, but he does it anyway because he doesn't even know. So he does the pagan cursing ritual, and the Christians go, we don't do that. That's pagan. We don't involve ourselves in pagan ceremonies, and it's against, A, it's pagan, B, it's against what God says about blessing those who curse you, and C, it's against our faith to take these weird oaths too, that we are explicitly commanded not to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And
then all the Muslim sources are like, look, the Christians know they're lying. They won't take the weird
yeah,
curse.
and that's what they do. Well, we're okay. We believe this guy's totally a prophet, but just randomly we won't agree because if this man is a messenger sent by Allah, we would never be spared his anger and the anger of his people until they afflict us with a great devastation. But what's really funny here, this isn't about any fear. Here's the funny part. This isn't about any fear of Allah at all. Notice here that the Muslims are going to slaughter them all, which is actually, of course, what ended up happening eventually during the time of Umar. They cooked up an excuse and slaughtered some and kicked the rest out. So they had to leave. But here, this first version is that the Muslims are going to attack us and try to kill us. But
yeah, that is pretty humorous.
Yes.
Right. So if he is actually, this isn't obviously something anyone actually said, but they're trying to put this in the Christian's mouth. And so the genius writing this is like making the Christian say, if he was truly a man of God and we blocked him, then he would be really angry and he would send all his people to kill us.
Yeah. Basically.
Not we fear God, right? So if Christians were actually concerned, or anyone was actually concerned about upsetting God by rejecting his messenger, you'd think that they'd be upset about, or they'd be concerned about God sending wrath upon them. But no, the genius who wrote this couldn't even figure out how to write it correctly. And so it says that Muhammad would send wrath, which of course, what the person writing this is part of those armies that are, sending wrath upon the people, and they're proud of it.
Yep. And then the Shia points out that Muhammad did in fact curse his own family, that he took the hand of Hassan and Hussein and had Ali and Fatima to come with him, and then he sat on his knees for Mubahala, and they went and he did the curse. And here they have the bishop say, I swear to Allah, I swear by Allah that he has sat like prophets used to sit for Mubahala. Because as a bishop, I totally believe that this pagan Arab cursing ritual is something that the previous prophets used to do. And I know this from my book. Guys, this is just the most embarrassing religion ever. Because you're shoving in, this is supposed to be the words of the bishop, shoving in the verse, he must be a true prophet because he does the prophetic cursing pagan ritual right.
Yeah, he sat down in the proper way to do the pagan cursing ritual.
So anyway,
all the true prophets know how to sit properly while doing their cursing ritual.
Yes.
The fake prophets don't know this, but I'm not a prophet and I know it, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. But anyway, obviously the Christians declined. Why? Because it's explicitly against the commands of God. So Christians obeyed God, did not do the cursing ritual, but Muhammad did. Because he's doing the Mubahala, and the Christians do not respond. They're like, we're not gonna call God's curses on you or on our own family or any of that. That's awful. We're not doing that because God commanded us not to. So what do we have here? The death of Muhammad, the day of Mubahala was probably April 632. Remember, the Shia lie about what year it was, and the Sunnis lie and say that it didn't actually occur, that he never actually cursed his own family. Why? Because in early June, Muhammad died. And Fatima, there are 6 people present there. There's Muhammad, Fatima's unborn son, Ali, Hussein, and Hassan. Those are the 6. June, 3 are dead. We are down to 3. We are down to half of the people. So Muhammad, of course, says that Allah will take his aorta and cut his aorta on his deathbed. He goes, my aorta is being cut. The Jewish woman says that the poison will kill him if he is a false prophet. On his deathbed, he goes, oh, I feel the poison cutting my aorta. And then he does this cursing ritual in which he is supposed to die within a fairly short window of time. And guess what? He dies within that window of time. There are 3 different things declaring by his death that he is a false prophet. So it's very obvious as to why the Muslims lie about when this occurred. Now, Ali, the other 3 people who are named, Ali, he never reigned uncontested as Khalifa. He was never the caliph without someone in rebellion to him. The Umayyads rebelled from the death of Uthman onward. They did not recognize him. They did not obey him. And then he died by assassination. Hassan died by assassination, or died by poisoning in Medina. He was assassinated in Medina. 9 years later, Hussein died in the Battle of Karbala in 680. So they all died violent, horrible deaths. So there you go. That is Mubahala, the pagan cursing ritual, and its context, why Muhammad did it, and what this shows about Islam. And by the way, this bit where I said that he and Jesus and Mary, all of the sources about Mubahala say that is what the Christians believed. And that's what Christians believe generally, in 3 individual gods, and this is Trinity. So I just want to point out that all of these Muslims today say that is not what Christians believed.
And
but
yet,
they all,
according to Wad, who is the expert on all things Islam, Muhammad couldn't figure out what they actually believed, so he put what he thought they were saying in the Quran. And this is why we shouldn't have a problem with it, because it's just the words of Muhammad, and he was mistaken.
Yeah. But it's okay. The word 3 there is enough to cover it. Okay, well then you can't believe in Tawheed, because Tawheed is even more than 3. It's the belief in multiple, truly ontological parts of Allah joining together to make Allah. You can't believe in that. Mm-hmm. But maybe 7 or 8 or 15 or 99 is fine to believe in. It's just 3 that's the problem. You can believe that Allah has 99 parts. That's fine. You just can't believe 3. That's the problem. But no,
it's just the number 3 specifically, as Wad made quite clear, that Allah makes it clear the number 3 is not acceptable.
And again, what do we have? Allah does not just say 3 in any form, any idea of 3. He explains what he means. Taking Isa and Maryam as gods next to Allah. So there's 1, 2, 3 gods, one of whom is a human woman. The second one is a being who is the sole offspring of the woman and who had no pre-existence. and that was born like every other man and dies like every other man in terms of like his nature. And Christians just got confused and worshiped all three. The Christians come up and go, no, that's not even what your sources, what you claim comes from Allah that you copied from other people. You copied without understanding. Here's what the things that you are saying actually mean. And they were completely correct. And yet, yeah, they just don't understand it. All right, so that should, I think, give the Mubahala why people do Mubahala now, and that Mubahala does involve cursing children, that Mubahala involves the deaths of children, and that's fine. Fatima's unborn son died because of the Mubahala. According to the Islamic idea of what Mubahalas do, it would be silly to attribute his death to any other cause. So
I don't, maybe the children or whatnot, maybe that's coincidence. But I mean, Muhammad died, and that's all you really need to know, right? That Muhammad invoked the curse, and Muhammad died. According to Islamic ideas, that proves that he was the liar. And Watt said that the Quran is just calling a spade a spade. When the Quran declares that Christians believe in the false idea of Mary, Jesus, and the Father being the Trinity, I mean, it's just calling it the way it is. Christians might say that they don't believe that and they believe in the Holy Spirit, but that's just arbitrary word difference. It's exactly the same belief in the end, according to the amazing logician that is Wad White.
And again, if you wanted to engage with Christians, you don't engage with Christians by being as stupid as humanly possible. Being stupid and not understanding is not a way to engage with Christians in a meaningful way, and try to dispute with them on what they believe. You shouldn't quote things that require divinity of Jesus and then go, oh no, he's just a human. Why do you have these things in there that are from false sources, but they still are from sources that say they're divine? And unfortunately, Jack Ray, I don't think it's going to work. I don't know whether or not you can make it play on your system. Oh, okay. All right. We'll let that happen.
I have to do it manually, obviously. I don't have my setup, but we're going to get that super chat from Jack Ray here. All right. I generated it. Now let me just make sure it worked before I play it. Oh, and I'm in the wrong directory in that, because I was messing with stuff trying to get things to work. All right, let's see. Oh, yeah, it's not in the Mubahala directory. Silly me. Why would it be there?
Nice.
It's in the StreamBot directory, of course. That's where it should be. Let's see. No, that didn't. What? Why? Oh, right, because, yes. I forgot my bot renames it, so I was looking for the wrong name of the file. Okay, so I did generate a new file. Let's get that added to the stream here. And it's going to play as soon as I add it, because it automatically plays things. And then I got to switch directories in Chrome as well. Oh, boo! You can only load MP4s, not MP3s, into StreamYard. It won't let you load just a sound.
Well,
That's terrible.
Can you just share your screen and somehow share your central sound too?
Yeah. I can probably do that. That probably works. Share screen. Share audio. Of course, there's nothing to see because it's but I guess we'll show this one. So you'll get an infinite regress of us.
Woohoo! Woohoo!
But now I'm sharing audio, so it should work.
Mubahala, it's what they do.
So did you hear it?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Good. It didn't pronounce it quite correctly, but good enough. So Jack Ray said, Mubahala, it's what they do. Thank you very much for that. We'll get the internet issues ironed out, hopefully. I do think it was probably a provider issue because I continued to have it on StreamYard.
Yeah.
So, like even now, it says, like on my status thing on StreamYard, it says connection is unstable. If you're on Wi-Fi, try plugging into your router and moving closer to it. Except they're not
Ouch.
on Wi-Fi.
No. I'm on Wi-Fi.
It's like
But
your wired connection is unstable, like you're on Wi-Fi far away from the source.
That's sad. Yeah. Mesh network for the win, for sure.
So we'll figure that out. Maybe like try to see if maybe like getting a new cable helps. I mean, I can get a new Ethernet cable. This one's many years old, so who knows? But it almost certainly just provider issue since it was something that happened today and didn't even happen earlier today. Oh, just so you know, Mary, Wad doesn't believe in your interpretation of the biblical text. Well, good.
Well, yeah,
good
he
to know,
also
Wad.
doesn't believe
We
in what the
don't really
Quran
care.
actually says. So, I mean, he doesn't believe in
Yeah.
anything. What anything is written, what it says, he disbelieves in it.
Yep.
So
He's consistent.
He's consistent, but he
whatever
doesn't
wants
believe.
to believe, regardless
Yep.
of what the text says. I like the Quran could say that Wad White is cursed and will go to hell. And he'd be like, see, the Quran says that I'm blessed and we'll go to heaven. It's right there in the Quran. Why can't you read it, Mary? I don't agree with your interpretation. You gotta know the secret meaning of the text. It means the opposite of what it says.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you
All
for
right.
joining us today, guys. I'll have a new video out tomorrow on Ali Dawah's screenshot expertise and how he's such an expert on how screenshots work. Oh, but we do have a question before we go from Freddie here. What made you become involved and knowledgeable about Islam?
So I minored in religious studies in college, and they had us read religious texts from every background except for Islam. We did not read a word of the Quran. The only thing that we read that had anything to do directly with Islam was the Shahada. And we read this stupid Sufi vague, oh, Allah is love. Like it could have been about any religion and had no real content. And I'm like, weird. People are like not wanting me to read that. But I was really busy. I had other stuff to do. And then 9/11 happened. I'm like, wow, somebody is lying to me about this religion. I suspect that it's the people who are teaching my course, since we did not read any of the stuff about it. So then I went off, read it on my own through actually Robert Spencer's blogging the Quran. The second time I read it, because the first time I'm like, okay, this is obviously an idiot maniac who is talking to people who have no access to actual scriptures and just blathering stuff. I did recognize some of the sources that were non-canonical that it was stealing from. And I'm like, oh, this is just a most obvious cult leader ever. And he's violent and evil, but I can't really sort out lots of sense from this because it's such a mess and so incoherent. Learning about tafsir really helped with that. Then over time, I just got more involved and I had time to do it. The one funny thing that happened is that a certain book got canceled by a major publishing company. And after that, I'm like, well, somebody actually needs to write the book. And they got canceled because of threats from Muslims. It was the book from the point of view of Aisha, Muhammad's child wife. And that was going to be huge, big publication. I'm like, somebody needs to write that book, and somebody needs to write it with thoroughness and accuracy. Not the way that people were doing the red tent, like it was a red tent knockoff kind of thing, because red tent was really popular then, who I think is about Rebecca and has a made up aspects to it. But they were going to do the same thing with Aisha, and the Muslims threatened to kill everybody, so they didn't. I'm like, somebody needs to write that. So one day that will be written.
Nanny says, I'm late. Well, you're very late because we're in the process of wrapping up. Going to give about another minute for Wad to finally give me the Bible verse for his claim that the Bible teaches that Jesus is not Yahweh and or the Holy Spirit is not Yahweh. Well, he didn't do it. I said your next comment better be that or you are done. He didn't do it. You're done. Bye, Wad. Goodbye. You lying.
No, he's going to go, the true God. Yes, guess what? The Father is the true God. The Son is the whole true God, and the Holy Spirit is the true God. They're all the only true God. The only true God that there is.
First of all, he's going to play games. And second of all, where does it say that Jesus say, I'm not the true God? He doesn't.
No. And in the beginning, what was happening in the beginning? The Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. The Spirit was not created. The Spirit was never created.
Mm-hmm.
The Spirit is acting as God. The Spirit is God, and every Jew believes that the Spirit of God is God. They don't believe that the Spirit of God is some created thing.
Yeah, exactly.
They might now reject personhood.
They'll say that it's, like a literary device to separate God from his presence or something along those lines. They won't say it's a distinct person, but they certainly won't say it's a created being.
No.
Right? Only Wad is stupid enough to believe that.
Well, I mean, he got that from the later Muslims who were embarrassed by what Muhammad taught, which was so incoherent.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you for joining us. As I said, a new video out tomorrow. Right after this stream, I'm going to release it for members only. Members only access until tomorrow morning. And then it will be live to everyone after that. So look for that tomorrow if you're not a member, or look for it tonight if you are. And until we meet again, God bless everyone. And we can't close out with Pastor Jakes.
No.
Well, I mean, I guess I could. I could actually. If you want to give me 1 minute, I can.
Sure.
Yeah.
By the way, this is not purple. This is magenta. The color is always so off. It's so weird.
You can't blame me. You can't blame me this time.
It's the interpretation that and I have like daylight. I have daylight lenses on me, right? Or the warmth of the lighting is daylight. So I don't know why it's going on. It's really confused by this green screen. It's like we need to put tons more blue in it. It's very odd.
Problem is I don't. I need to know the name of the file, and I don't know the name of the file offhand. So some of them have the name. Most of them have the clip first, and then the person, and that seems to be the case here. But it's not pray this ceaselessly. So Lord have mercy is the name.
There it is.
Found it.
Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me.